Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Don't ever be told you're wrong for expressing your opinion and worries about getting back to work. Only elitists will curse you, and they don't matter. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by, come on, Patriots, call me on the phone, Pledge of Allegiance time. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, on this Wednesday, April 2-2. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are open and serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires and service for your vehicles, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Hello. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to this republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
God bless you, man, and I know you're going to call back in a few minutes, and I welcome that. Thank you for your patriotism. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Time for the weather, and we're going to scoot right into it because I think we're going to see some changes, unfortunately. And K&R Rental brings us the weather. Roger, good morning, and the rest of the crew, I hope you're having a great day at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They're big, they're good, they serve you, my goodness, with the best tools and equipment anywhere, anytime. You better get in there and see them today. Spring's here, gardening, lawn care, they've got all the power rakes, all your gardening and lawn equipment, all your rototillers to dig up that dirt. I tell you what, they're all set for you. Give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Get your yard work done today because we're going to be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies for today. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 65. Tonight we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 45. For tomorrow, patchy, blowing dust afternoon, wind advisory, gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 60 by Thursday night. Mostly clear skies. Things should be dying down just a little bit, low of 36. By Friday, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy, high of 62. By Saturday, mostly sunny and low 70s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
46 degrees outside right now. Thanks, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. You can call them, get a hold of them any way you can about the information you need for rental of equipment on long and short-term basis. They are the best. K&R Rental in Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about my dear friends, and they have been on this program for well over 20 years, and I appreciate them. They provide all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and I'm talking about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. Open up early in the morning, 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and believe me, they've got all your air conditioning filters. We're going to start needing that before too long, so check it out. Ramsey Heating and Electric, almost 7 decades of service to you in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
My friend.
I have a message for Governor Little.
Oh?
Please release me, let me go.
Believe me.
That's how I feel this morning.
Believe me, if you keep...
I also feel like a dog on a chain, that at the end of the chain is all the things I need that I can't reach.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Would you do me one favor? And actually, this would be a big favor, and I'll even slip you some money if need be. Please do not call and sing on my program again.
Well, is this going to affect my gold star?
Your gold star is really starting to rust. Let me tell you.
If I could see that star, would I see a down mouth?
No, I'll tell you what, Keith, I couldn't agree with you more, and even our Lieutenant Governor McEachin is upset. She sent a notice and a letter to Governor Brad Little, and we are, from this juncture, we're just days away from the governor reevaluating where we're going to go, and I got to be honest with you, that's the only way I can operate this program. If I step on toes, get off the dance floor. The problem I see is that if he elongates this stay-at-home order, there's going to be uproars, there's going to be rioting in the streets, there's going to be protests. This has got to stop. The virus is not going to go away. Let's underline that. It's not going to go away. It may linger all through the summer and come back out and rear its ugly head in more strength in the fall and winter again. It's not going to go away. It's like a very, very powerful strain of the flu. It is a killer, I admit that, but it's not going to go away, and we cannot live in an igloo forever.
Well, you know, South Dakota didn't have any restrictions whatsoever. And besides what that meat factory was, they had very, very little problems, and they're a small state like Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's all diligence and responsibility. And when I say that, Keith, I know you're aware of it. And caller number 2, stand there. I'll be right there. It's diligence of making sure that you protect yourself, you protect your family, you protect your surroundings, you use common sense, which today doesn't seem to be a commodity a lot of people have. And we have to live. We have to produce. We have to provide. And I'm not going to live in this bubble anymore. I told you that the other day.
Well, please release him. Let me go.
Believe me, as far as your singing is concerned, you are totally released.
Well, yeah, I'm not even allowed to sing in church.
But you know what? If you sing in the shower, your water bill is going to go up 30%.
Oh, that hurt.
I know it did. God bless you. Thanks, Keith. Take care. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Please don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Dino's Septic Service. Boy, I tell you, they provide a business that you and I don't want to be messing with. No. I remember a couple of years ago when we needed those folks. They were here. Johnny on the spot. I'll tell you what, good. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal, septic inspections, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. They are good. They are friendly. They are honestly providing the best in service. With that big truck that says smells cargo on the way, Dino's Septic Service. Please give them a call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I just got the radio turned on. I listened to what you're talking about. From what I understand, forever growing up, viruses, you don't ever get rid of a virus. You can't cure a virus. Your body gets immune to it through it by being infected by it, hence the flu shot.
Mm-hmm.
And with the little doses so your body can build up an immunity. So when you said this is not going away, you're absolutely correct. This isn't ever going to go away. You can hide in your house till kingdom come and all be said, but it's still going to be here.
Well, and
it's a terrible thing. But the other part about it is we can't hide like scared mice and expect to live. It isn't going to happen.
No.
Some will die. I know it's a terrible thing. I'm upset about it, but if you don't do anything about it, you're going to die anyway. So you're going to die and not have done anything and been scared, or you're going to get up and go outside and do your best every day and do your best for your family. And if you die, you die. It happens.
Absolutely.
It's a bad thing, but no one's getting out alive.
Absolutely. I heard a couple of these people on the left earlier in the week last week, saying, why, we can't release the public to go back to work and intermingle with each other until listen to this now, until there is a zero chance of the virus spreading. There is no such thing as a zero chance. Where do these imbeciles get off being anything to do with the media? They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, you're right. There is no zero chance, but they do also know what they're talking about. They have enough people that will just follow whatever they say because apparently the left knows everything and can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And if they can keep us locked up, what do they need prisons or gulags for? If they can keep us locked up, they got it.
Well, they're not going to keep me locked up. They're not going to keep me locked up any longer. I'm going out. I'm going to live my life. Riley, I'm going to be 73 years old in the early fall. I'm not going to waste the days I have left sitting behind my windows looking outside going, oh, gee, woe is me. Life is passing me by. I'm going to get outside and I'm going to enjoy myself. I don't care, and I mean this, about an edict that absolutely is infringing on my life. I am not hurting anybody else. I'm respecting the code of the West, if you will, about wearing a mask if I go to a business, or gloves, or saying a social distance away from everybody. I'm going to maintain that, but I'm not going to be cooped up like a doggone chicken in my home.
I don't blame you. My thought on that whole thing of if you're sick, just like you were taught growing up, Zeb, if you're sick, you don't feel good, you obviously know you don't feel good.
That's right.
Stay home. If you're out in public and you see somebody who didn't have the common sense to stay home when they were obviously sick, and you can tell, stay away from them.
Got you covered, Riley.
That's what it's going to take.
I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Have a good day. Thank you. In relationship to what he was just talking about, some of the absolutely despicable statements that were made by the Idaho Statesman editorial board in regards to people having a rally against the closures. I'm going to read some of those paragraphs. I wished I had a representative from the Idaho Statesman and also the other lesser newspaper, the Times News, right here locally. Some of the things that they put in the paper and some of the things they write about are absolutely repugnant. But before we do that, I want to remind you about my friend Kevin and Certified Pest Control. Go to, and this is a neat headline, go to avoidbugs@gmail.com. They're offering right now, and you need to do this because we're going to have a lot of spiders and bugs this year. And they've got a spider and bug treatment starting at just $39.95 with a 3-month guarantee. I tell you what, this guy is good. We have used him. Remember when the voles and the mice were so bad a couple of years ago? Man, I mean, he came in like the Pied Piper and got rid of them. I'll tell you what, I think the world of this company. Avoidbugs@gmail.com. Certified Pest Control, serving you. You get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Jeb, just think if we elected Hillary as president, you wouldn't have this game.
I cannot, hold it, sir, I cannot hear you. It's very muffled. Can you hold your cell phone right up by your mouth and talk a little bit more plain if you can? You're not coming through. It's hard to hear you.
President, we wouldn't have this virus.
I can...
We're not going to have
I cannot hear the caller, Wheels. Please stay on the line with him and tell him I cannot hear it. It's not going over the air. I apologize. It's not clean or clear. I apologize. We just can't go that way. In the editorial, and sir, if you're still listening, I could not hear you, and it wasn't coming through the airwaves, so the phone evidently isn't working properly, or you're out of the area. Very, very fuzzy. I apologize. In the Idaho Statesman, they made comments about the rally up at the Capitol the last couple of days, Stand for Freedom. And here's a couple of paragraphs I got to read to you. We, meaning the Idaho Statesman editorial board, we find it fitting that they dubbed their protest Disobey Idaho, describing the actions of a group of petulant children who don't know how to behave even for their own good. Let me tell you something. I know so many people right now in this state of Idaho and around the United States that I call and work with. They're not petulant children. They are scared to death that they're going to lose their businesses. They're worried sick about the lack of education of their children. They're worried about how they're going to get all their groceries paid for and their mortgage and or their rent. Don't you dare elevate yourself, you absolutely dishonest Idaho statesman, and call these people petulant children. How dare you? And then another paragraph that was a little further on in their op-ed this morning. Not to be left out, here we have Idaho, or at least a group of Idahoans, who, like a temper tantrum throwing child, upset that they have to go to bed early because mom and dad said they had to. They want in on the action. In other words, anybody that's connected with this is a temper tantrum throwing child. I am upset. I absolutely have tears in my eyes for people that are losing everything. Some of my best advertisers on this program have closed their doors, and I don't know if they're going to be back on or if they're going to be able to go back open. And they're not petulant children. And they're not temper tantrum throwing children. This is insane that the elitists on the left can treat people this way. Caller, good morning. Calm me down.
Well, let me tell you, Friday I was up there, and I walked up because there was people clear up on the top of the steps, and they were clear at the top up there with cameras and stuff. And I walked over to three of them. Well, there was only three. And I says, "Are you a friend or a foe?" "I'm a friend." He had a scarf over his face. The second guy, I asked him if he was a friend or a foe, and he said, "I'm a friend." The third person was a lady. She was on the east side of the steps. She had blonde hair, was shorter. And I said, "Are you a friend or a foe?" And she had a mask on, like a dust mask that you wear out, with work. And I said, "Are you a friend or a foe?" She wouldn't answer. I says, "Are you a friend or a foe?" And finally, she showed me her Idaho Statesman press pass.
Oh, wow.
Whatever you do, make sure you cover this fairly. And then say what you actually saw here and how these people were patriots, organized, respectful, and everything we did. And don't act like we were children. I never said that, but that's what they said now. And that isn't at all what was happening. I was there.
Hold on a minute, Randy. Let me read another paragraph that was in this op-ed this morning, and everybody can read it. All you have to do is just go look it up. And it says, quote, "But those of us who understand the seriousness of the situation also understand the need to continue the stay-at-home order." There's the elitism that just reeks like a bad candle that melted in the heat. But among those of us who understand the seriousness, it's almost like the rest of us are dummies and they're so smart. I'm fed up with this attitude, and I'm afraid it's going to permeate and get bigger in this country as the days go by.
Well, see, this is the thing, whether or not they want to admit it or not, free market capitalism, private business owners are what keep this thing propped up. They were the reason why when Trump turned them loose, they kicked this thing into fifth gear, and they were running down the freeway about 90. And now they have thrown the brakes on because they can.
Yeah.
Again, they yelled at us for 3 years, tried to get us to believe that Trump had done something. Then finally, they found something that got our attention.
Well, and
I don't know where the origins of this are. There's some evidence that Fauci is no friend of ours.
Well, all I'm going to say is, and I've got to wrap it up and go do a commercial, but I want to say this, that I salute Idaho Lieutenant Governor Janice McEachin, and she came out in a letter to the governor and said that, and I want to read this and have you respond quickly, don't go on and on. The contribution of my family business, which has been declared non-essential, provided $172,319 in various payroll, income, property, and sales taxes in 2019. And she said all businesses are essential because they provide the backbone of our economy. What have I been saying on this program for the last 2 months? All businesses are essential, and it's absolutely asinine and stupid to qualify some as essential and others as non-essential. Randy, quickly.
Well, okay, Janice is a McGee, and she's sharp, she's solid, and she's not a crony. Brad Little's a crony. He's a crony Republican. I don't know who he's listening to, but it ain't us.
I appreciate your call as always, and I mean that, Randy. Thank you. God bless you, and have a good day. Work hard on it, please. Wheels over at the station, would you please tell everybody, please, about the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Representative Fred Wood to explain this year's voting by mail.
All citizens who are registered to vote will receive postcards by mail from the Secretary of State within the next 2 weeks. Please fill out this application to request your absentee ballot, then mail. When you receive your ballot, vote and mail according to instructions prior to May 19th. Please vote absentee ballot prior to May 19th, paid for Fred Wood campaign.
There you go, Fred. Thank you very much. And by the way, Representative Wood is going to be on our program at 9:30 this morning, and I really am looking forward to that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, 46 degrees outside. And we want to say a big shout-out and thank you to our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Wild Bill Cody. And, of course, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin and the Napa location. And, I mean, they've got the equipment for the lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, everything. I mean, they've got all the trenchers and the scissor lifts and all the complete inventory of the Bobcats and the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. Great financing programs and lease programs for you at Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Stop in, see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. We've reached the point in the Bible where it says good is called evil, evil is called good.
Yes.
Bitter is called sweet, and sweet is called bitter. Well, I'll tell you, this incident where this lady with her kids is arrested, cited, or whatever in the park there up in Meridian, I believe it is. I mean, and at the same time, they're releasing criminals that have been convicted criminals from prisons all over the country because of this virus. And it's and the numbers that are coming out, Zeb, is that a lot of people who've had this virus, they didn't even know it.
That's right.
I mean, the symptoms are symptomless virus. So, yeah, there are people that have been dying from it, but if you take the statistics, Zeb, from New York City, and the number in 8 million that die every day is about the number that they've been reporting as dying from the virus. So something smells rotten in Denmark. And, of course, Dr. Birx let the cat out of the bag a week ago, that they would count anybody that died of any disease of heart attack or cancer if they had the virus or with the virus. And then they're counted as dying with the virus.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Adrian, let me jump in. I mean, this has got to be a two-horse race here. Hold on. I received an email yesterday that goes in conjunction with what you said. I'm not going to mention who sent it to me. I'm not going to mention any names. I have not had a chance to verify this as being factual, but it does go along hand in hand with what you are talking about. It's very short. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to have you give a short response. Here we go. Yesterday, this person wrote this letter. Yesterday, when signing the forms pronouncing my dad's death, I told them under no circumstances do I want my dad's death used in the COVID-19 body count because he died of long-term terminal lung cancer that had been spread throughout his body with absolutely no signs or symptoms at all of being sick until the day he died. He did not have the coronavirus or COVID-19. However, I was then told that for the mere fact that he hadn't been tested, they would have to list his death as a possible victim of the coronavirus. It says to me that they most definitely are inflating counts in some way. This is very upsetting, to say the least. Now, I didn't go into any names or anything else. I'm not going to, but it kind of attests to what you just talked about.
Well, and here's the other deal. There was 3,700 in New York that died that hadn't been tested, but they went ahead and labeled them as dying of the virus, even though they died of other things. So these numbers are around 40,000 now. I would say the real number count is probably not much over 20. And last year, 34,000 people died of the flu. And the year before that was 61,000. So, I mean, these numbers are so low yet. And the original model, Zeb, was 2.2 million were going to die of this virus. That was the original model. Last week it went down to 51,000.
Well, hold on.
98% wrong. Anybody in business would be fired for projecting that you're 98% wrong. And Dr. Birx and Dr. Fossey still seem to have a job, and I know they're getting a paycheck. But let's look at real numbers instead of just pie-in-the-sky stuff and scare everybody to death. But the national media is doing a good job of trying to get rid of Trump. It's all about destroying our economy, and, of course, the Chinese they're covering for the Chinese along with the World Health Organization is covering for the Chinese as well.
I agree. I got to run.
Off the funding.
I got to run. But every point that... Wait a minute. Adrian, please.
334-2100 and stop this shutdown and get the state back together, because a lot of businesses that I talked to just yesterday are probably going to be bankruptcy because of this.
Absolutely. Oh, whoa, stop the horse, Adrian. You can't roll like that. I agree with you. You're a dear friend, but you got to give me a chance to come in for some air. I agree with you in its entirety, and I think things are going to start falling into line, hopefully, with the governor's office, and I appreciate you mentioning his number like you have every day. I want people to call. There's one other issue I want you to respond to, and I'm not going to let you go on and on, so please. The color rate, hold on. Listen to me, please. The colorization chart that they are developing in China, I want you to respond when I talk to you about this. They've developed a barcode color of green, yellow, and red to check people without their permission and just at random with a drone situation and a handheld device to see if they need to be put in quarantine. You talk about an Orwellian society. We are on the verge.
Absolutely, Zeb. We are on the verge. A surveillance society in 22 states got free Chinese drones to surveil on our citizens in the U.S. Our elected people, Zeb, take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. They need to be reminded that. And that includes the governor and all our elected officials here in the state. They take that oath, and they need to get that Constitution out and read it. And we all need to read it and realize that our rights are being stomped on, and it needs to stop.
Absolutely.
Our country totally. Thank you, Red.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate your call. Thank you. The New York Times studied this code of this app that's being put together on kind of a color chart, and where people are being scanned without even really knowing about it. And if they're green, okay, yellow, there might be a little problem. Red, they got to be taken into quarantine. And here's what they had written on a report. After studying the code of the app, they found that it sends a person's location, city name where they reside, and an identifying code number to a server that supposedly belongs to authorities. The app shares this data to the server every time someone scans the code. This makes it easier for the authorities to track someone's movements. I don't want this. I don't think you do either. And the more that this coronavirus problem exists, I hate to say that a political conspiracy theorist is kind of dwelling in my brain, but it's coming back every day with the simple 7-letter word of control. Control. Orwellian control. You can see it. If you can't, you're blind, deaf, and dumb. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody that Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair is for sale. This is a phenomenal business opportunity for someone in the listening audience to call Doug at the number 878-4991 or 431-5282. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, located at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Great business opportunity. It's a turnkey operation ready for you. And on top of that, Doug will train the buyer, the business, on how to rebuild the starters and all the repair. This is an excellent job, an excellent business opportunity. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. For sale, call 878-4991. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, talking about being tracked and how you don't want that at all. Well, 2 weeks ago I got a message from my dispatcher telling me that if I crossed over into Utah from either Wyoming or Idaho, I'd be getting a text message, and I'd need to pull over and fill it out and send it back, or through an email, either one. And if I didn't, I failed, I could be held. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to another friend of mine who actually goes between Wyoming and Utah quite often. He says, "Yeah, you cross, not within 50 yards of the border on the other side, your phone goes off, and it tells you, hey, you got to stop and you got to fill this out. And if you don't, that there is some legal precautions." And I don't know if that means they'll follow you down because your cell phone or your cell phone number, or your phone identifying number or whatever. But that's kind of getting a little scary.
Well, let me tell you something.
They track these trucks like a dot on a board everywhere.
Yeah.
Still, when they use your cell phone to contact you and not the truck computer, that's a little bit annoying and scary in its own.
Well, I'll tell you something, Riley. You're 100% correct, more than 100%. Last week on this program, I had a dear friend call me, and he traverses between Idaho and Utah almost every week because of his job. I'm not going to elaborate who it is or what he does. And he's out in some of the remote areas working with ranchers, and he had the same thing come up on his cell phone. I don't want any more of this Orwellian stoppage. I am scared. The 1984 novel, Orwellian theories that were in there. I mean, you ought to be scared. I am scared. Everybody should be scared about the way that we're losing our freedoms, and it's kind of a blanket cover-up and takeover by government. Not just one, but by world governments. This thing really bothers me as to what they're going to try to use the coronavirus as a crutch to get what they want.
The biggest, the scariest part about it is people are just letting it happen.
Yes.
And rolling over.
Yes.
I know a lot of people when this started, oh yeah, it's a good thing. Well, I didn't think so, and still to this day, there are people I know that, what's for our best safety? And I'm to the point of, what's to our best safety?
Yeah.
That we be held at our house until it's time that the government deems that they can come pick us up at their leisure? Or that our economy goes broke, and therefore now we have to be a communistic country because there is no money for anybody anywhere? Or that people start dying from poverty because there is no food, there is no money because the farmers and the industry have been held back? I mean, pick your poison.
Yep.
Pick your damn poison and stick with it. But I am not. I'm done with this.
Well,
I got too much to do in my lifetime to sit and wait.
Absolutely. Riley, you are always welcome to call in. Thank you. I mean that. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, I tell you what, there's some evidence that people want to give you a vaccination, and you can say, this is out there, and it might be. And in the vaccination will be a chip, and you won't know it. And this way they can control you, monitor you. It's easier to monitor you if you're 6 foot apart. And then this might sound insane, but the technology is there. And that's what's scary.
Yeah.
In the wrong hands, this kind of thing is so frightening. They quickly, you heard about the lady that got arrested in Boise.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the playground with her children.
Right.
Well, I was appalled. I was so furious. I was driving home from Glens Ferry. My wife told me. I called the mayor's office. The lady says, well, nobody's at the office. You got to call the assistant, to the mayor of Meridian. And I said, see, he's an elected official, and so is the chief of police. And if you can do nothing else, we get rid of these folks. I have children in Meridian. And maybe you do too.
I do, in that area.
Exactly. And they see you don't have to go. You can be in Boise and you can go to the Meridian Park.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Hold on, Randy. Hold on. Let me jump in here. Let me play ball with you here. There is absolutely no one that is going to convince me that it is healthier to stay indoors, rebreathing the air on a continual basis, as it is much healthier to be outside getting some physical exercise, getting some sunshine, and being with your parent and or family. And as long as you're not congregating in large numbers and you're doing your own thing. Look at the idiocy. They even arrested Tom Brady down in Florida for running all by himself in a park. This is lunacy.
I'm going to tell you, man, yesterday somebody says, I'm not worried about the virus. I'm not even worried about the overreach or the economy being destroyed. He says, what I'm worried about is now that they have figured out a way to overrun us. It's called tyranny, folks.
Absolutely.
It's called tyranny.
Absolutely.
We're going to call that mayor. This is the number.
All right.
489-0529. 489-0529 in Idaho, 208,
Okay.
And his name is Robert Simonson. He's an elected official, and he wants to get reelected. And you know what sun does? And it kills everything, and including this. And so, you're out in the sun, you're out.
It's just fresh air. I mean, the lunacy of saying stay indoors and with your family and rebreathe all the air again and the inhalation of possible germs from another person. Get outside. I'm not going to adhere to that. I'm not going to lock myself and have my hands up against the glass going, oh, look at that pretty bird in the tree. No, I can't live like that. Randy, I got to run. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Quickly, up at Anderson Ranch Reservoir last Sunday, or over the weekend, there were so many boats on the water because people are fed up.
Good.
That the guy told me, he says, I could not believe how many people were there. The people, I hope we have the will to fight back. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Caller, I'm going to put you on just for a second here. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Congress, I understand, recently passed this bill to help small businesses. But guess what? There was over millions of dollars given to Harvard University.
No.
And places like that.
No. Now, Keith, read and understand the whole story. That money was revoked from Harvard, the great big huge university back there. They did not qualify. They have an endowment program that's the largest of anywhere in the world. They did not receive it. They are not going to get it.
Well, I understand that they were going to return it back.
Yeah.
But what our problem is here is they're going to give this money to the big banks to distribute it. And they're going to distribute among the big companies because they think it will trickle down.
Yeah, well, it's not going to trickle down, and I'm along with everybody else that's a small business owner. I am a small business owner. And some of the rules and the regulatory fashions for trying to get money to stay afloat are absolutely insane. And the money that they allocated, $3.5 billion in addition to what they had a few days ago, is not going to work. And especially the no Nancy Pelosi is holding everything up. This is a pathetic excuse for trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem that has to be solved by getting people back to work. Keith, I appreciate your call. I've got to get a weather forecast in here, my friend. Thanks. I'm running late. Thank you.
You mean this bill has not been passed yet?
I don't know unless something happened in the last little bit. There was still some strings attached, and I hope that it's gone through.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy, thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know No Nancy was talking about voting by proxy, etc. You know what? That's something real quick. They were hired through our voting, senators and congressmen, to get their butts in the chairs and do their job. And now they're on a recess when we're at one of the most critical, if not the most critical ventures of our entire life and the life of this country? Go to work. Park your fat body in the chair and start voting and getting things solved for the American constituency. My. Our weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And they provide the expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology for your hearing health. Absolutely. Like I've been telling you, their phones are open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they'd be very happy to answer any questions you have. And they're offering up drive-up clinic during the hours of 10 to 3. You call ahead. They will help you the best way they can during these very, very critical times. Please get a hold of them today, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Get your yard work done today because we're going to be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies for today. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 65. Tonight we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 45. For tomorrow, patchy, blowing dust afternoon, wind advisory, gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 60 by Thursday night. Mostly clear skies. Things should be dying down just a little bit, low of 36. By Friday, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy, high of 62. By Saturday, mostly sunny and low 70s. That's a look at your weather for Zeta Duran.
Thank you, Gina. People that really care about your hearing health, excuse me, and my coughing too, I hope, are always there to serve you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I absolutely had them help me. They can help you with a great hearing screening process, and then they can help you with the treatment at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I don't want to be color-coded. I don't want some little geek sitting there with a computer and saying, look at him. He's red. We've got to go pick him up. We've got to put him in quarantine. The other guy's yellow. Well, we got to keep a close look on him. Or now they have the drones, the sensitive drones flying overhead with the capability of singling out those people walking down a street that they think might have the virus or a temperature or whatever. You talk about not being a Orwellian society. Yesterday, a good friend of mine called me and we were talking, and he said, would you really promote on your radio program civil disobedience against ridiculous government controls? And I said, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to hide it. Like in Michigan, I would be outside planting my garden. I would take my motorboat on the lake. I would get away from the bustling crowds, if able and time and job permitted, to go to my cabin in the North Woods to get away from everything. Absolutely. And that's disobedience to the stupid Governor Whitmer's regulations. So, in answer to the question, would I promote civil disobedience against government controls that are absolutely ridiculous? Yep. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please, I'd like to hear from you. Give us a jingle on the landline. By the way, a day on the calendar that I will not acknowledge with any respect is this day, Earth Day. It offends me as a Christian to think that these people on the left, environmentalists, etc., that would worship Mother Earth, it's just saying that makes me sick. And above God, the creator of all things, it just absolutely sickens me. And the condemnation of mankind on this day. The Times News ran a top banner headline, Green Movement Faces Challenges. It was in the paper this morning for Earth Day 2020. Well, I hope they do face a lot of challenges, because the movement, Green Movement, is comprised of a bunch of left-wing twits that want nothing more than control of your life, my life, everybody's life. And the ruination of an energy grid that is absolutely the best in the world. And the condemnation of farming and industry. I can't abide by that. As they sit back and they praise and pray for Mother Earth. I know teachers are going to be in the classrooms today with kids, our kids, really bragging about Earth Day and everything else. But let's be realistic. Let's be honest. It's totally against what the Bible says and what God says. And if you don't like that, your problem, not mine. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here's what's on the schedule, the menu, if you will, for the rest of the morning. At 9:06, Dave Bego is going to be out from Indianapolis, Indiana. And then at 9:30, we have Representative Fred Wood coming back on. We really need to get down to the brass tacks about how the May 19th primary is going to work with the mail-in ballots and everything. And I'm going to try to smooth away some of the surface so that everybody can understand and get your ballots, fill them out, and send them in now. None of this last-minute stuff, please. We all need to vote. We all need to be good citizens, especially at this time in our lives. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the coronavirus. Then at 10:06, we're going to have our monthly feature with the Idaho Fishing Game. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds. Go.
Well,
Okay, the only thing I wanted to mention, Zeb, was the fact that here we are in the problems that we're in, and there they are trying to get a school bond going over there in Jerome. And I just hate to see that happen here in our community. That was the only thing I was going to bring up.
No, and why do you feel that way? Quickly, why?
Well, I think that we've got hard times anyway. People are out of work and everything else, and there they are trying to get a darn school bond passed. Because of revenue with the people. They don't have it to live on. And there they want to keep pounding these darn schools down our throat.
Well, I'm not going to say darn schools because I think education is paramount and a priority of everything. But I think the timing.
But they ought to give up on this a little bit and give us a break. You get a little money, and then they're after it. You know.
Well, right now, a little money is not to be had from my pocket. It's just hard enough to pay the bills and keep afloat. God bless you. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Got to run to the news. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning. What a pretty morning. My goodness sakes, Wednesday, April 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations are open and serving you. Safe, clean environment, and the best in tires and service. Don't forget Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, Wheels, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia Circle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead. Always at Georgia Circle.
Western Waste Services, and I urge you, if you have a garbage problem, you're new in the area, and you're going, what am I going to do with all this garbage? All you have to do is just please give them a call, get on the route service, and once a week they'll be there. Pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. They are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. You give them a call today. Wheels, old partner, can we have a good word for the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Senator Kelly Anthon to explain this year's voting by mail.
The outcome of every election we have is determined by who shows up to vote. This year, Idaho's primary election is a mail-in only election. It's not ideal, and it's not the way we'd like to do it. But your vote does make a difference for all of us in Idaho. So please, first request a ballot, then mail it in, and make your voice heard. This message is paid for by the Anthem for Idaho Senate campaign.
And thank you, Senator Anthon. And right now, also, don't forget, I know some folks that are absolutely doing everything they can to serve you and your aching and paining, your recouping from surgeries and accidents. That's, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell is just, and his staff, they are so phenomenal, so professional, and so caring to make sure that everybody gets taken care of in this time. And whether it's at the actual location of 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, or they may even have to come to your home, they will serve you. Please give them a call, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. The absolute best for you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Wednesday, and I've got a host of things I want to talk over with this man back in Indianapolis, Indiana, my friend, great author and businessman, Dave Bego. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine. I hope you are, too.
I am, and I got to tell you, Dave, that I think we're at the tipping point of common sense and sanity in this country. Our state governor has said that he's going to make a reassessment, a reevaluation as to whether or not to open the state of Idaho on May 1st. I have come out, and you can criticize me, feel free to do so. I've come out and said, no, I'm not going to wait. I am absolutely going to try to live my life. And I'm going to be very careful and conscious about wearing a mask if I go to a store. I'm going to be very careful about what I touch. I'm going to wear rubber gloves, sanitizers. I'm going to be very cognizant about social distancing. But we've got to get back to living our lives. How do you feel about that?
No, I'm with you 100%, Zeb. And, our governor here, and he had a protest last week in front of his house, about 500 people, because they want to get our economy opened back up. But he came out this Monday and said that he's going to extend it until the 1st of May. So, we've got eight or 9 days left. And but he has backed off a few things and allowed a few things to start moving forward, and so businesses can start doing things, and he's encouraging them to start getting their employees ready and everything. And so I think even though he's extended it till the end of this month, I think he'll day by day open some things up.
Dave, almost in your backyard, somewhat, up in the state of Michigan, one of the biggest Looney Tunes that was ever elected to any political post, the governor of Michigan, Whitmer, this woman absolutely has no structure of common sense. Would you tell me, Dave, you're a good old boy, would you tell me why she would make it against the law in her edicts to not go in and buy garden seed, tomato plants, or gardening tools so that people can have somewhat of a healthy environment being outside working in their own garden, but that, according to her, is illegal? Or even trying to go on the lake with a motorboat to get away from the maddening crowds. What's the matter with these elected officials?
Well, she's a Democrat, and she's a far left one, and the far left ones, all they want to do is control. And that's what she's all about, and she doesn't have much common sense about her at all. And what's funny is behind the scenes up there, you have people that are still working, and people are laid off, and even union people that are, kind of protesting her behind the scenes in that. And so she's too far left. There's no doubt about it, and it's sad that she is.
We had a kind of a protest here in the state of Idaho last week on Friday, and about 1,600 or more people were on the steps of the Capitol, and then our wonderful Idaho Statesman wrote an editorial, and they called these people petulant children who don't know how to behave even for their own good. And then they compared them later in the op-ed to temper tantrum throwing children upset because they have to go to bed early. No, Dave, I'm telling you, these are people that are worried about their families. These are people that are worried about their jobs. These are people that are worried about keeping their businesses afloat. These are people about worrying how they're going to pay the bills. These are not petulant children.
No, they're not. And these people that come out and say those things, or the media that comes out writes things like that, they have no clue, because they're just they're all about. And Zeb, I'll say this over and over again, people probably get tired of hearing it, but they're all about controlling this country and running the country the way they want it, not by the principles that this country was founded on.
What are your thoughts, for all the years that I've known you and talked to you? I believe that you and I share the same thought, that the Constitution and its amendments are absolutely, in my opinion, untouchable and not rewritable. But I'm seeing so much being done against the Constitution and the First Amendment, and it's very unfortunate, but nobody really, in large majority numbers, are standing up and fighting back.
No, that's, unfortunately, the Republican Party and a lot of conservatives in that, are not used to being attacked like this and going through this stuff. And I mean, you have some people like the protesters that are going out, but not a lot of majority of people are standing up. But the way they can truly stand up, Zeb, is when we have the election here in November, that they get our president reelected and the Senate stays Republican and they take back the House. And we can stop these far left people from taking over the government and controlling it.
I was on the phone the other day, excuse me, Dave, with a very prominent individual back in the Midwest. I'm not going to mention names or drop names. I've been in politics for a long time, over 40 years. And I asked him, I said, what do you think personally about the re-election of Donald Trump? I mean, all of this seems to be a great big screenplay of Russia and collusion to the Mueller report to now the coronavirus. And this is the straw that's breaking the camel's back. Do you think that the American public is going to see through this and still mark Donald Trump's name on their ballot in November?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've seen articles and seen things come out that even a lot of the millennials can't put up with what the left and the Democrats are doing, and that a lot of them will probably end up voting for Trump, and that'll be a big positive for him.
I got to ask you, though, I want to back up a couple of steps on the ladder here. I also talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and I want to ask you what your thoughts are regarding this. When it comes to civil disobedience against ridiculous government controls, and we'll use Governor Whitmer in Michigan, I would be outside planting my garden. I would be outside tilling my garden. I would be out on my boat on a lake to get away from everybody, or I would go to my cabin in the North Woods to get away from the maddening crowds, which would be extremely healthy. That would be civil disobedience. Do you go along with that or not?
I don't believe it would be civil disobedience. But again, you have these people who, the far left thinking and the deep state thinking, and they're going to continue to put this stuff in progress. And if they caught you, they'd probably have you arrested. But the American people need to stand up and do the right things for America, and we got to bring our economy back. Get the jobs going again, and make America strong again. Because before this all started, we had the best economy in the history of this country.
Absolutely. Dave, there's so many Orwellian things that are happening in our society right now due to the coronavirus and the threats and scares from that virus. And I just heard yesterday, and then I received a news story on it, about how they've developed a barcode through a handheld computer system over in China to where they can actually categorize people in a green, yellow, or red for the coronavirus. If you're green, you're okay. If you're yellow, you're iffy. And if you're red, they're going to come and get you and put you in quarantine. And there are people in this country that want to develop that same kind of a screening process. But myself personally, I got to be telling you that the drones are already flying in certain areas of our country that have the capacity and capability of singling out those with a high temperature or not. This is as Orwellian as I've ever seen or ever wanted to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need to use our healthcare system, and and a lot of the healthcare systems across the country and here in Indiana are doing great things and able to get people in and get them tested. And unfortunately, we have a gentleman that works for us here at EMS, and his son, who's at Ball State University, his roommate came down with the virus and had to be tested and everything, and his son had to be quarantined. And because those two boys had been down at this guy that works for me, his house, and him and his wife had to be quarantined for about 10 days, almost 2 weeks. And then they had to go through the testing process, and they went through it. We're able to get it done right away Monday, and we'll know today sometime if they're okay. But his son was tested a little earlier, and he came out okay. But we're getting all these things done, and our healthcare system is doing a good job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about Joe Biden. And these are not my words. These are words that have been said by numerous people and political pundits and analysts on TV and radio and newspaper. Joe Biden is senile. That's not me saying this. Yesterday was another commentator that said his senility is showing forth, and I'll tell you who the man was. It was Brit Hume, a longtime journalist on television, came right out and said that Joe Biden is absolutely showing his senility and is not presidential caliber. What do you think?
Well, I agree with him. I don't think he is, but I think he's just, and I think I mentioned this on your show last week, I think that the Democrats have him up there just because he really hasn't all along been a far left guy coming out and pronouncing things and stuff like that. And they've just got him up there as a person to get elected, and if he gets elected, behind the scenes they'll control him. And they'll put a vice president in that will be the real person that runs this country and controls him.
Okay, but now therein is another problem. He has painted himself and the Democratic Party into somewhat of a corner by saying, I will definitely pick a female running mate. Oh, boy, did he paint himself into a real splotchy corner, because here you go. Are we talking about Stacey Abrams, the whining loser for the governorship in Georgia? Are we talking about Michigan's Governor Whitmer that has no common sense whatsoever? Are we talking about Elizabeth Warren? Are we talking about Michelle Obama? Who are we really talking about?
Well, my guess it'll be Michelle Obama, and we'll see where it goes. It could be Elizabeth Warren, too, but I think it's one of those two. And, because Obama, as you know, came out this past week and has gotten behind and supported Biden. And I just see behind the scenes that he gets Michelle in as the vice president, and he helps Michelle, and she runs the country, and he is, too, behind the scenes.
I totally agree with you. I mean, there have been people this morning even that have said, oh, no, he's not going to have a female vice president because, quite frankly, he didn't paint himself into a corner. He's going to pick whoever he finds necessary to run as VP. He probably will pick New York's Andrew Cuomo, the governor. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I think Cuomo is more in the center and has some common sense. And would be a much better pick than one of the ladies we just talked about. But I don't think he's going to get the shot at it. I really don't.
Let me change gears a little bit, and you as a businessman, you know the numbers probably far better than most, but originally we had like $2.5 billion that was put aside to help as a stimulus relief package. It was a drop in the bucket. As a matter of fact, it didn't even make the bottom of the bucket wet. And then now a $3.5 billion, and that's a stimulus relief bill. I'm telling you, Dave, it's not going to help. It's not going to help because I know the banks are already overloaded with applications, many of which have said even if this goes through as $3.5 additional billion, it's going to absolutely be gone within 24 hours. And I know people that are small business owners like myself, there's so many hoops to jump through and stairs to climb, we might not even get a smell of that money. And I think it's never going to be enough to save a lot of great small businesses.
Well, I think you're right, and there's a lot of small businesses that don't even qualify for it because of what their structure is and how they're set up and what type of business they are. The way to get this country going back again is not through putting more money out there, but opening up the doors and letting people go back to work and let the economy build itself back up and thrive, and that's what we got to do.
Really, you're always very cautious about what you say and or intimate towards people. But when you look at Nancy Pelosi and what she and Schumer and the Democrats are doing, holding everything up and sitting in their mansions, twiddling their thumbs or eating very expensive ice cream, and not being back where they should be in Washington, D.C. to solve these problems, what are your thoughts about the Democratic Party and especially No Nancy?
It's all in an election process. You know, we've gone through all things like you said with Russia and the FBI hoax and the impeachment thing, and now the coronavirus. They're all doing this just to try and paint a bad picture of the president and the Republican Party, so they could gain control in November. And they're going to continue to do this, and they're not going to go to Washington and do things that they think might help the Republican Party and hurt them in the election process.
Absolutely.
That's where this is all headed for.
Well, I don't know what the general feeling is back in the Midwest, especially in your home state of Indiana, but when you talk to people in other businesses, or maybe people that are your church members, or maybe people that belong to your golf club, etc., what are they saying back there about this mess?
Oh, everybody thinks it's a political thing, and that we just need to open the economy back up and let people go out and and get going again. And that's what we're pushing for hard here in the Midwest.
I got to leave on a brighter or perhaps not brighter note this morning. I don't know any way you look at it, but I was shocked that Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully they're going to get a season in this fall. But his contract stated that the Buccaneers must go out and try to sign Rob Gronkowski, and he did. Now they're back together again in Tampa. What are your thoughts?
Well, we'll see how they do. I don't know that Tampa runs things as well as what they did out on the East Coast there, but we'll see.
Yeah, but when you take a guy that's 42-year-old quarterback, which is absolutely that's a wheelchair type situation for the NFL, and then you talk about a tight end that's been off living the good life for the last 14, 15 months, coming out of retirement, really you're going to hinge your football success on that marriage being reunited?
That's why I say Tampa is, they just, we do business down there, and some of the people that I know down there and talk about it, they're just not happy how Tampa is run down there, their football team and that. So I got a feeling we're not going to see much come out of it.
Dave, I always look forward to having you on the program. You do a lot of things for your community, great author, enjoy your books, and, of course, all the things that you do with your business. Thank you for being on the program. Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana. God bless you. Stay safe.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you got a little time after the show today, I'd like to talk to you on the phone.
I will make it a point. I'm making a note as we speak. I'll give you a jingle, and I'm assuming at this number. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Please.
I will do that, Dave. God bless you, man. Take care.
Same to you.
Thank you. One of my very favorite people, Dave Bego, on the air this morning, as he is every Wednesday at 9:06. Oh, we got to pay some bills, and we're going to tell you a little bit about another dear friend of mine, and boy, him and his staff and family, they are such nice people and so committed to serving you and your family in a very, very serious time of need, and that's when there's the passing of a loved one. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you and providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And I say this every day, but they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And believe me, they pledge to serve you as you would want want to be served. So please give them a call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wow, in just a few minutes we're going to have Representative Fred Wood come on our program this morning, and there's a straight shooter that we need in a time like this. Don't forget to Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh my, they're closed on Mondays, open Tuesday through Friday. But here's the key. I want you to call them right now and take advantage of their great service work discount. Listen to this. For the balance of the month of April, they are providing 15% off on all service work on your four-wheelers, side-by-sides, everything, to make sure that you're going to be running and gunning and having a good time outside for this spring and summer. So call them at 436-4771. That number again, 436-4771. Absolutely great service personnel at Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. And I say this every day, too, on my program. When it comes to good people, smart people, knowledgeable people, people that want to serve you and they're devoted to helping you, oh, boy, I'm talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Hello, Todd and the crew over there. And all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. All you need to do is call them at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All right, let's run to the phone line. Well, in my case, let's jog slowly to the phone line. And with us on the other end of the line, one of my favorite people, Representative Fred Wood. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you today?
Live, well, and absolutely ready to listen to you give us some good information this morning.
Well, I hope then not to disappoint you. What do you want to talk about this morning, Zeb?
I think, first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit, not a lot, about the coronavirus in the state of Idaho, etc., but I want to leave the bulk of the time this morning to going into, again, what needs to be done and how it's going to get done for the May 19th primary. Is that all right?
You bet.
All right. First and foremost, here we are, April 22nd, and we still have another 8 days or so of the stay-at-home with Governor Little, et cetera, with the coronavirus. And my take is this, Fred, and we may differ a little bit in our philosophy and thoughts. We got to get back to work pretty doggone soon because the pain and the depression and what it's doing to tear families and businesses apart, we can't wait much longer. What are your thoughts?
Well, as far as the economy is concerned, you're right. However, with respect to making sure that we're on top of our public health threat, we have to do it very smart and we have to do it carefully. In looking at the latest statistics last night on the webpage, there are 3 areas of concern in the state. 1, Nez Perce County, which is Lewiston; 2, Canyon County, Nampa-Caldwell area; and 3, Twin Falls County. All 3 of those are still continuing to have a number of new cases each day, and there's community spread in those, and we have to be very careful about what we do in those 3 areas, or we're going to develop another hotspot immediately. So whatever we're going to do and whatever the governor's going to do, we're going to have to be very smart about it. I think that we can start opening some businesses come the 1st, as long as people will listen and pay attention. And one of the things that really bothers me, Zeb, is I had to go get some sprayer parts yesterday, so I went and got some sprayer parts. And, Zeb, there's nobody in town and nobody out in the public, and no employees of these businesses are wearing face masks. Now, if we're going to get back to opening the economy up and doing it smart so that we don't put at risk getting other hot spots going like we got in Blaine County. And everybody now understands what happened in Blaine County. One person from Western Washington showed up in Blaine County, and that was the major source of that whole thing. So we got 3 areas in the state that we have to be concerned about. So I think we can do it, but it's going to require that everybody listen and pay attention to how we do it smart.
I can't argue that, and I think it falls almost in with the statement that I've made that I'm going to live my life. I have to. I mean, I'm an old man, and I'm going to start enjoying more of what God's given me. But the caveat is I'm going to do it smart with common sense with people like you that have shared with us the mask, washing the hands, wearing protective, perhaps rubber plastic gloves, social distancing. I can still do what I want, but we've got to use common sense until this thing is diminished. I don't think I'm saying anything different than you are.
I believe that, Zeb, and that's exactly right. I was listening to the segment prior to, and the discussion was, well, what is a stay-at-home order? Well, you know, from my perspective, I own 10 acres out here on the corner, and most people in Cassia-Mendocino counties know where I live. But if I'm out in any part of that 10 acres by myself or with my wife, that is complying with the stay-at-home order. Okay? If Zeb Bell is out on any piece of the property that you own, riding your horse, planting the garden, or doing whatever Zeb Bell does, as long as he is not congregating a bunch of people on it, et cetera, you're following the stay-at-home order. Now, the real problem is what do you do with the poor folks in Boise who live in an apartment and they don't even have a common space or a backyard or anything? I get that. But for all of the people in our area, particularly in the rural areas of the state, you can comply with a stay-at-home order fairly easily if you're just smart and use common sense about it.
Well, okay, let me go a step further on that, though, and you can give me pushback on this if you wish. But, like, if I want to go up to my son-in-laws and go rope and we're not hanging on each other, we're outside, out in the fresh air, there's a lot to be said for doing that as long as you're not doing anything that's going to put everybody in a close confine where they might have the virus spread. I still maintain that's not going to hurt anything.
You may well be right, depending upon how many people are going to be there and how many people are coming in from outside areas. Okay? Now, if a whole bunch of people are going to show up and there's a corral out there, you might be, if you understand what I'm saying, okay? And yeah, if you're going to go up to your son-in-law's and there's one other person there or 2 other people there, and you wear a mask and you're distancing and stuff like that, I think after the first in particular, you're probably not in violation. But an awful lot of the risk, Zeb, is going to fall on you, okay? Because you're the one that's at risk, not your son-in-law so much.
Absolutely.
Although, genetically speaking, that kind of depends, but you still have to be smart about it. I mean, if you've got a family member, and that family member is an employee at a hospital and goes to work every day, I'm sorry, but you should never show up where that guy is or that person is, because they are at high risk of transmitting that disease.
Well, I want to go along on this as fast as we can. I want to ask you one other question about this and then get into the primary. But when you hear about governors like Whitmer that made a decree that you can go into the store and buy other items, but you can't buy any gardening tools and or gardening plants or anything or any seed to plant your garden, or you can't go out on the lake and you're away from everybody, or you can't go to your cabin up in the Northwoods, which would completely isolate you from everybody. That is idiocy.
Well, again, Zeb, a little bit of common sense goes a heck of a long ways, and I think that most of us here in Idaho understand those kinds of issues. Being out in your garden, planting your garden by yourself, I don't care if you do live in a little small, if your garden is in a little small backyard in Boise, Idaho, or wherever, but you're by yourself, and you're not within 6 feet or 10 feet or 20 feet of somebody. I think that is common sense and being halfway smart about it. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Now, Fred, let's get into the May 19th primary election. And I think the best way is to start at the letter A and go through the alphabet to Z and explain what people can expect, what people need to do, and the simplifications of what's trying to be done to make sure that everybody can get their ballot and vote. So I'm going to sit back, shut up, which is a rarity for me, and I'm going to let you have the football and run with it. So go ahead.
Okay, Zeb, well, if you remember correctly, you and I talked over the weekend, and we both bemoaned the fact that we got on IdahoVotes.gov, which is the site that the Secretary of State is telling everybody to go to, and how complicated that form was, and it just didn't make sense what was going on there. And you and I talked about that.
Right.
So come Monday morning, I got on the phone with Tonya Page in Mendocino County and Joe Larson, and I checked the Secretary of State's website Monday morning, and it was just a disaster. You couldn't figure out what was going on. So I talked to those two, our county clerks here in Legislative District 27. By noon, that had been pulled down, and the appropriate form, a simple single-page appropriate form, had been put on Idaho.gov. And it's very simple and easy to get to. And the title of it is May 19, 2020 Primary Election Absentee Ballot Application. Zeb, it took me 4.5 minutes, literally, to get on the computer, and I don't do well with computers, ask my wife. Anyway, I got on, I went right to that form, I filled it out on the computer. You can't sign it or date it, but I printed it off, and I'm sitting here with it right on my desk right now with the appropriate box checked, etc., and it's all typed so there can't be a mistake in the language. All you have to do is to sign that and date it and send it to your county clerk.
Okay.
Whatever county you live in, send it to the county clerk, and within a week or so, you will get your ballot back in the mail.
Good.
Now, once you get your ballot back in the mail, and Amy and I have already done this, so I know exactly what the ballot looks like, etc. It's a packet of a ballot plus a gold envelope and an outer white envelope. Those are the three components of the packet. You have to fill out the ballot, vote for whoever you want to vote for, and then you put that in the gold envelope, which has no marking on the outside of it, and you seal that, and then you put the gold envelope inside of the white envelope. And the white envelope will have the county clerk's address on it, but you have to sign that envelope attesting that it was you that filled out the ballot. Now, for all of those people that are listening today, I think this is very important. I know that vote by mail causes significant concern about security. Idaho has 2 steps that really make sure that it is a secure process. First of all, nobody is going to mail you a ballot unless you apply for it. So there's not going to be any ballot out there unless they have an application on file that you yourself signed. Secondly, when that white envelope gets back to the county clerk, they check your signature that you signed on that envelope with. They check that against the signature that is on file when you registered to as a citizen to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that signature has to match exactly. For instance, my full name is Frederick Leslie Wood III, Roman numeral 3. That's the way I signed my registration card at the county clerk's office, Frederick Leslie Wood III. If I don't sign that exactly that way, then it's not going to count. If I signed it Fred Wood, if I signed it Frederick L. Wood, if I signed it whatever other than my full name, because that's the way I signed it, it's not going to count. My wife, on the other hand, Amy, her name is Amy Linwood, she signed her registration card Amy Wood. So she has to sign her envelope Amy Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they'll know that somebody else tried to do it.
Okay.
So the security is there, Zeb. The last thing I would like to say is that on Election Day, in the parking lot near the county courthouse, and I'm not sure exactly whether it's the one to the south or one to the north in the back by the sheriff's thing, there's going to be two lines. You don't have to get out of your car or anything, but anybody that is worried about security can literally drive through and drop their envelope, their signed envelope, into a ballot box that will be manned by people in the parking lot there. There will also be a second line, a drive-through line, where you can request a ballot or an application for a ballot. Then you can drive somewhere else. You can fill out the application, and then you can drive back through and drop the application in the mail so that the county clerk has the opportunity to send you a ballot. You fill it out and have it back in the county clerk's office by June the 2nd. So there's the security of it. That's how to get an application. If you wish to drop it off in person, you can do that without ever getting out of your car on Election Day at the county courthouse.
Fred, I want to go back, and I want you to reestablish the fact about the mail-in balloting. I've had, and I'm going to be very blunt, I've had about 10 or 11 phone calls in the last few days of people that are concerned that this ballot by mail is going to be a trendsetter for future elections. How would you respond to that?
I don't think in Idaho it will be. At least in my conversations with legislators, okay? I don't know hardly of any legislator that is comfortable with a pure mail-in ballot system. I think people still in Idaho want to show up and cast their ballot in person. And I just don't see that. I don't see it in my lifetime or yours, Zeb.
Okay.
What's going to happen after you and I are gone, I don't have any idea, but I don't see anything like that happening at all prior to a few decades going by here.
Okay, now we're basically, with the lacking of a couple of days, almost a full month away from the primary on the 19th. But I think you would agree with me that, folks, don't put this off. Don't say, well, I'll get to it next week, or I'll figure it out next week on Friday or something. Don't keep putting it off, because we really do want people to exercise their freedom and responsibility as citizens to go vote. Right, Fred?
Absolutely. I've said many, many, many times on this program that we've been a country for 240 some odd years or whatever it is. How many of us have died? How many Americans have died for the right to vote? One of the things that I think is the most disheartening since I got into politics a good number of years ago is that our voting percentages are still low. Wouldn't it be wonderful if 100% of the people who were eligible to vote in any election actually showed up to vote? as opposed to the 25% or 35%. We typically do better than that in Cassia County, typically 40% or so in a primary and 60 or 70 in a general. But, you know, folks, it is so important to vote. I just can't tell you how much it means to me to be able to represent you when a whole bunch of people show up to vote.
Well, let me ask you a question right there, Fred. I can remember that when you and I were kids, we're basically the same age, that our moms and dads and aunts and uncles and everything, I mean, it was a big deal. They made plans and allowances of their time to make sure that they got to the polls and took care of their citizen duty of voting. Why and how come did it diminish? And then we'll take a call with a question.
You know, I don't know, Zeb. I can remember people getting dressed up when I was a kid and I couldn't vote. But I remember people getting dressed up to go vote. That's how important they considered that it was. I don't know why the wheels are getting loose on the old buggy about that, but they certainly are. And I wished I knew how to change that because I would change it quickly.
Absolutely. We've got a caller with a question. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, the question I have registered for voting 40-some years ago in this county, and I've been in the same place, everything the same for 40-some years. I don't know exactly what I signed in as a registration, probably Dennis A. Dudley. But if I sent it in and it was Dennis Albert Dudley, I did the whole thing, then I won't get a ballot.
Caller and everybody who is listening, I talked to Joe Larson and I talked to Tanya Page. Call the county clerks in your respective county. They can look that up and they can tell you that. Both Joe and Tanya told me that if any voter has any question, for goodness sakes, call them. They can walk you through how to get an application. I mean, they are literally bending over backwards along with their whole staff in both counties in Legislative District 27. I don't know about other counties, but I know that our county clerks in these two counties, Dennis, and everybody listening, if you've got a question like that at all, for goodness sakes, call the county clerks. But don't wait till the last day.
Yep.
If you don't know that, Dennis, then call in the next hour. Call down to the county clerk's office and find out what it was. It may take them a day to find it for you. But anybody that has a question about any of this process that I discussed today at all, please call the county clerks or their staff, because they both committed to me and they both told me that they've been doing this, that they will answer everybody's question to the extent of their ability, and they're very good at it.
Okay, now I want to say something here before.
Quick question. Can I order this ballot for my wife, or does she have to do it too?
You can obviously fill it out, but she's going to have to sign it and date it, okay? But, I mean, you can get on a computer and you can fill out one for her and one for you and print them off, but then she's obviously going to have to sign her own.
Oh, definitely there. I'm no question. I just need to get the ballot to us, what we need to do. Now, I tried on the computer, and it says they have no record of me.
Okay, you better... Well, I'll tell you, I tried that same thing, too, by looking at the Secretary of State's website.
Right.
And to check whether I was registered to vote. So I put in my full name, and it said I'm not registered to vote. What I did is then I dropped the suffix, so I used Frederick L. Wood, and bingo, I'm registered to vote, and with the correct address, etc. Now, it was explained to me what's going on with the Secretary of State's office, and Zeb, it'd take 30 minutes for me to tell the audience exactly what is going on there, because they're changing from a street system to a GIS system,
and it's a mess.
Yeah, I got to interrupt you there, Fred. Fred, I've got to interrupt you. I've only got 30 seconds left, and I have a hard break coming up, so real fast.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Dennis, thank you. It's good to hear from you, Fred. I did not mean to be rude and cut you off, but I've got a hard break. I've got a commercial coming up before the news. I want to reiterate that it's always a great pleasure to have you on the air with the information we need. You're going to be back on here in again a couple of days. We're going to reiterate exactly everything we've talked about. Representative Fred Wood, thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Zeb, thank you. God bless.
All right, sir. Thank you much. We got to run to the weather real quick, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, and they are the accounting professionals for the Mini-Cassia area and have been for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, answering all your questions, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this with very personalized service. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, the professionals serving you in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Get your yard work done today because we're going to be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies for today. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 65. Tonight we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 45. For tomorrow, patchy, blowing dust afternoon, wind advisory, gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 60 by Thursday night. Mostly clear skies. Things should be dying down just a little bit, low of 36. By Friday, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy, high of 62. By Saturday, mostly sunny and low 70s. That's a look at your weather for Zebedee Durant.
Thank you very much, and brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, the accountants that are serving you in Burley and Rupert. Get a hold of them today. The very best, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Want to remind you, too, about Scott Ganoe Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Oh, my goodness sakes, nobody better. You better call him for landscaping ideas, and I'll tell you what, the wind's been blowing, and, of course, your trees probably need pruning and trimming, all your shrubs. They've got a great, fantastic crew that is, with a C, not a T, that can help you on your property of making it look really good. Get a hold of Scott Ganoe Landscaping and Sprinkler Service today. Set up an appointment. They will be there. 438-2485. Scott Ganoe Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. I'm out of time. Wheels, take us up to the news. Oh, my. What a day. What a day. Good morning out there, Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 3. And we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are open and serving you with safe, clean environment and the best in tires and services for your vehicle. So please stop in and see them today, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends, and they are at Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. And I'm telling you, they are doing all they can regarding the protection of their residents about the coronavirus. And they're staying there. They're absolutely enjoying the best of food. 3 wonderful meals a day, plus snacks, housekeeping, and local transportation. All of this and more. I urge all the seniors listening to me to be sure and contact Matt or Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979. I'll say the number again, 650-4979. Set up an appointment and see the beautiful facility of Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn, where seniors are living the good life with their friends. Also, a quick reminder about 7K Metals, where I have advocated that you call 2 people that really are good friends of mine. And that's, of course, 7K Metals with Lon Hardy and Sharon Wilmot. Now, they introduced me to 7K Metals with silver purchases that are sent right to my home. And you can help build yourself a financial security future and also a valued treasure for your loved ones. You better check on it today. Call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259, and be sure and tell them I told you to call. They'll help you. I guarantee it. 7K Metals and silver purchases for your financial future. Oh, my goodness sakes. Wheels, could we please have this good word for the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, to explain this year's voting by mail.
This year it's going to be a little different. You will be getting an absentee ballot request form in the mail. Fill it out. Send it in. Then the county clerk will send you an absentee ballot form. This is how you vote. Fill it out. Mail it in by May 19th. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to call your county clerk's office. Paid for by Bedke for Idaho.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate it, Scott. And right now, let's go to the phone line. And I do not like having to do this long distance, but hopefully this will change in the near short future. Good morning to the regional supervisor for the Idaho Fish and Game, dear friend of this program, Craig Weitzer. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me good, Seth?
Yeah, you're coming through. I'm going to ask Wheels to maybe boost you up a little bit in my headsets, but I hope all is well with the Fish and Game office over in Jerome.
Everything is good there. Of course, we're only open by appointment only. We do handle some things only we can handle over there. Most things can be done online, so people don't even have to go out, which is great if they don't want to go out. I understand vendors are still operating. The ones that are operating are selling licenses, as far as I know. But there's a few things. Checking big game animals, such as bears. We're started into the bear season that only we do, and a few other type of licenses that only we can handle. So we are open, and we're open for questions. The phone lines are there from 8 to 5, answering questions and doing appointments as needed. So not the ideal thing, but we're still serving as best as we can.
Absolutely. Craig, hunting and fishing are still open, and I want to reiterate the fact that has been said many, many times. Getting outdoors and being out in the sun, being out in the weather, everything, that's healthy. And all you need to do is remember, practice good social distancing. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, absolutely, and the governor, this is a high priority for him, is making sure Idahoans remember that healthy, both physically and mentally and emotionally, includes getting outdoors, and what a great state we live in for that. So, the social distancing guidelines are stay 6 feet apart. Of course, if it's a family unit, that kind of drops away because you're living next to each other all day long, and that's not required, especially if you're obviously don't want to have a little kid on a dock fishing by themselves. So you need to be there with your child. But other than that, even if you're friends or whatnot, we encourage stay 6 feet apart unless it's a family unit, and to respect smaller communities. One thing the governor has encouraged is get outdoors at the same time. Don't travel, far, and he doesn't define that, nor do we. But stay within local distance, and that way you respect other communities in the area or in other parts of the state by not swamping them with visits and showing up to their little stores when you realize that you didn't pack a lunch or something like that. So just a lot of a little bit of planning helps. Practice social distance, bring lunch, bring some water, stay within local areas. For the most part, we have people out looking and, just being out there doing their normal jobs, and they have been, as part of what the governor's asked state agencies that do outdoor recreation, is to keep a pulse on how things are going. So we've kept a pulse, and we see good social distancing. It tends to fall apart a little bit at out the window. So we encourage people, though, to be respectful. If someone's already out there, fish from the bank. Wait, if you're at a boat dock, wait till the people have launched and cleared out before you go down there. It's a little slower that way, but it practices what we've been asked to do.
You know, Craig, let me jump in and ask you this. Now, we're kind of twixt and tween hunting season and the winter seasons and now going into spring and fishing. Where are we right now with what is offered here in the state of Idaho as far as seasons and limits, et cetera? Kind of give us a brush up on what's going on.
Well, hunting, there isn't a lot, but one of the funnest seasons is here, and that's the spring turkey hunt. In this region, we have limited turkey habitat, and but great support for it, and we do have a controlled hunt, both a youth and then anyone else down in the South Hills, and that's ongoing. And like I said, that was a controlled hunt, so you needed to draw a tag. There's some open areas, though, over in the southeast and just north of Nampa and Boise and Weiser country. Going north, some open areas up there. When I say open, over-the-counter type experiences. And then, of course, in northern Idaho and the Panhandle and Clearwater region, there's a lot of great turkey populations and over-the-counter opportunities. So there is actually some of the funnest hunting I've ever experienced, because you get to try and call in the turkeys and kind of work the toms, and they get riled up and they're gobbling and they're strutting, and it's a lot of fun. Fishing, this gets to be a great time to get out. Everyone wants to get out. Some of the pan fish are bluegill, yellow perch, crappie, and bass start to pick up with some of this warmer weather, and we're headed into even, based on the weather report I saw, even up into the 70s. So I think the opportunity there on the smaller ponds that are shallower and have those warm water fish, and the Snake River has some of those, and some of our reservoirs, it's going to start to pick up, and it's going to be a good time. For the most part, there's a lot of open water in this region. The exceptions are up on the Big Wood River, and Silver Creek have some seasonal closures. Those have been in place for a while to protect some of those fisheries in the spring. So do know where you're at, and check the regulations and make sure they're open. And like I said, we do have people 8 to 5 answering phones at the office. So if you have any questions, callers should just give them a call. And we are on a skeleton crew, but so sometimes the call volume gets a little high, and you might go to voice message, but we get to every one of those voice messages.
Okay. One thing, too, I want you to explain a little bit. Abide by the limits. In other words, don't just fill out your creel and head for the pickup with maybe 30 fish too many, right?
Yeah, that's right. And limits and seasons do occur both by the species of fish and by the body of water that you're fishing. So it is important. There's some general regional fishing regulations, and once again, if you don't have a copy, you can also find it online. But if you're not sure, give the region a call. But you do need to follow those limits and the seasons, by species. And it's not just species. Some waters, particularly up north, and of course, I would also remind you, I keep mentioning the Wood River Valley, but that's up in Blaine County, which has been the hardest hit by COVID-19, and the county really encourages people not to visit. And once again, we want to respect those county decisions. But there are certain seasons that are, you don't use fly, not bait, and other things. But for the most part in this area, it's pretty wide open as far as what type of bait or lure you use, but you should check, and then you want to make sure for that particular species of fish, how many you can keep. It's not, the limit isn't all you can keep, or it isn't, the limit plus one, as sometimes people joke. There's important reasons for those limits biologically to make sure that we preserve the number of spawning fish out there, and we don't over harvest. Cutthroat down in the south of you. There's some streams down south of where you're at, Zeb, and cutthroats are, starting to spawn, and it's a good idea to just catch and release those, and that way we keep the population reproducing and doing a good job.
Absolutely. Quickly, we've got a whole bunch. Actually, I want to compliment you on your list that you sent over to me. The only problem with it reads like a college book that I didn't enjoy, Tolstoy's War and Peace. I mean, you really got some subjects on here. Let me ask you quickly about non-resident license temporary suspension. Tell us about that.
Well, so this is about the second week now. I don't know if you're experiencing what I'm experiencing, Zeb, where you kind of lose track of the day and weeks with this kind of odd self-isolation that we've never done before. But it's been a couple of weeks now that the commission took action, and basically on April 4th, they said that we will no longer offer any more, tags or fishing opportunities to non-residents for the foreseeable future. And that was, responding to COVID-19 and a desire by the governor and the commission to stem some of the impacts that we were starting to see of non-residents coming into the state. I don't know if people realize this, but pretty much all around us, some states, particularly Washington's a good example, closed all their spring hunts and fishing, and as a result, we were anticipating kind of an influx that doesn't normally occur, and this just didn't seem to be the time to encourage that, and so the commission took action to limit any further sales of non-residence permits, such as for bear hunting or fishing or salmon fishing, which is starting to take place, steelhead and others. And anyone that had any non-resident that had purchased those tags and permits prior to April 4th could go ahead and participate.
I see.
But it was to kind of curb any further influx as we have this isolation order in place.
All right.
Now, there's a whole long list, and I don't know if you have time and want to go through it, so I will not do that right now.
Okay.
Anybody that has a question about those non-residents permits or licenses, they should call the office. I should mention that we are still selling non-resident licenses so that people can put in for the controlled hunt, because we anticipate a much different fall than what we're experiencing now.
Yeah.
And so we do have controlled hunts going on, application period for controlled hunts going on right now, and in May and June, and so a non-resident can purchase a license because that is required to put in for a controlled hunt.
Okay.
But their ability to buy a fishing license or to buy tags such as a bear tag to go with that does not exist.
Okay. Spring bear hunting and bear baiting permits, and a reminder, I'm going to combine these two. Know your bears quickly before I have to take a break at the bottom of the hour.
Well, I'll start with Know Your Bears, and, we, in this part of the country, I don't even know when the last time a grizzly bear was spotted. It has to be well back into early 1900s or 1800s probably, but you get over to eastern Idaho and there are grizzlies. You get up to north Idaho and there are grizzlies, and just quick reminder is, color doesn't always tell it, because obviously black bear has many different phases, including some light brown and cinnamon, and some of it looks similar to grizzly, but it's all about the claws. You're thinking, how do I get that close to actually tell that the claws are over, 3 inches on a grizzly?
Yeah.
And a half on the black.
There you go.
I'm like you, Zeb. I don't want to get that close.
No.
Some other behaviors, the posture, the nose, the shape of the face, and there's some things online, pictures and whatnot, that people can easily Google and start to get a pattern for what that looks like. Hump on the grizzly. There's typically not a hump on the black bear unless it's just standing oddly. But mostly it's about being aware of what part of Idaho you're in, and then if you're going to be in that part of Idaho, hunting or recreating. I'd always give a bear plenty of distance when hunting or recreating, but unless I'm after a bear, and then I just want to make sure I can identify a grizzly from a black bear. Like you said, there are some help online. Difficult to describe it over the radio, but we encourage people to look at that.
Really, when you talk about the grizzlies, Craig, let me kind of chime in here a little bit. Talk about the grizzlies. I'm confused, and you've been on my program and other members of the Fish and Game for years, and I don't know if I could distinguish the differences in the blacks, browns, and the grizzlies. Boy, when you're running for your life, who cares?
Yeah, when you're running for your life, the important thing is to make sure there's someone slower with you, right?
Yeah, and you know who that person's going to be? Me.
Zeb, you're pretty smart. I think you would somehow trip me up, and I would find myself face down while you get away. So I think you'd be all right out there, but it is just important to be aware, and if you are recreating in country where there's grizzly, it is important to be a little bit noisy, and if you're out hunting, obviously that's not what you want to do, but you should still really be aware of your situation and keep scent off of you, and that includes just camping. People go camping and they're if they're bringing food into a tent, that's a really bad idea. Even if you've been cooking over the fire, and especially things like fish and bacon that really, a bear can smell from a long ways away. It's a good idea to change out those clothes before you go to bed, crawl in your sleeping bag, and but put them in your vehicle, or if you're backpacking or doing a horse trip, make sure you have rope with you and a little bag to put smelly stuff in and food, and throw that over a tall tree branch and tie it off for the night. At least get it away from your tent at the very least.
Craig, let me ask you this. How aggressive normally are bears? Are they on the timid side? Will they regress and leave? Will they leave the scene, or are they very aggressive?
Black bears are timid. There's a few exceptions where either you got a sow with cubs and you've got between her cubs and her. There's even been situations where maybe a bear is scavenging on a winter-killed carcass, or even, in the fall when hunting, sometimes hunters have to come back the next morning for the rest of the game, and they find a bear or two on it, and sometimes those bears get a little more aggressive, but when we talk about black bears, but for the most part, they're pretty timid and move away. We do get bears that start to come into some of our communities, such as up north in Blaine County, and they get habituated to the garbage and food, and then we get concerned because now they're associating, in a urban setting, food with humans, and they lose their fear. That gets concerning. But for the most part, they're going to be timid. Grizzlies, on the other hand, they're they're like the old man of the woods. They're surly and stepped out of hibernation, and you know, for the most part, you give them space, they give you space at the same time.
Okay.
They're not the ones I'd want to try and crowd. They're not the ones I'd try and rile up, and certainly they will protect something that they've started to feed on, whether it's something that they've scavenged or they've killed or a hunter's killed. And so it's really kind of important there to be aware and give them space and recognize they're not going to run off if you've harvested something and had come in the next day and they're on top of it. You know, they're not going to run off.
Yeah.
A black bear you can run off typically, but a grizzly's, you know, it's kind of a metaphor, but they always have a sore tooth. So
absolutely. Hey, I've got to take a break here at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to have more with Craig White with the Fish and Game. Stand by, but I want to remind you, too, on Mondays at 10:30, don't forget we now have back for the spring and summer gardening season, Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Don't forget, Vicky is always there to serve you with all your gardening needs, all your variety of gardening plants, and help you with your lawn care and your shrubs and your trees. This lady knows, and she can help you at Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. Want to also take just a moment here to tell you about our friends over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena. They are the electronics experts. You got a question, they've got the answers. Plus, they've got everything you're looking for as far as your home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, all the complete sound systems. Oh my! And if you need a television to sit down in front of and enjoy a nice quiet evening, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, what a great selection. They're open Monday through Saturdays 9 to 6. Don't forget Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call 678-6997. Right now, we're going to have a hard break at the bottom of the hour. Send it over to Wheels. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
A couple of quick notes here before we go back to Craig White with the Idaho Fish and Game. Don't forget Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. This business is for sale. This business may be for you at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. You bet. Call them at 878-4991 or after hours call Doug at 431-5282. This is a turnkey business that is absolutely ready for you to buy and start your work. Absolutely. And Doug will train the buyer, the business, in rebuilding starters and all the repair. And I'm telling you what, he is the expert, and this business is for sale for you. Call them 878-4991 or 431-5282. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. You call them today. Want to also give you a heads up about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And with the coronavirus problems and everything, they are there to serve you. If you'll call the number 878-2341, they'll make arrangements to help you beautify and comfortize your home. They're going to be proactive and always working to serve you, whether it's your mattresses, whether it's your furniture, your carpeting, your flooring, all of this and so much more. Please call Jeff, and they'll make sure that you get taken care of at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 878-2341, or you can call Jeff at 670-2864. They want to please you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. We're on the air right now with Craig White, Regional Supervisor with the Idaho Fish and Game, and the next on our list, moose, goat, sheep, controlled hunt application period ends the end of this month, correct?
Yes, next Thursday, if I have my dates right. So there's still time to get that in. And, you know, once again, that is something that can be done online. And there's also a phone number if you're not really comfortable with online stuff. There's a phone number as well that you can call. And, you know, it's unfortunate, tough times. I mean, we're not handling those at the office because they can be handled online and elsewhere. But I want to make sure those things happening, that people are aware that they're happening, and that it closes April 30th. It's the last day.
You know, Craig, I don't want to skip over anything, but for time constraints, what about the upcoming big game controlled hunt application period and also the 5-day waiting period on the capped elk hunts? Tell us that about quickly, if you would.
Sure. So after we get done with the moose, goat, sheep controlled hunt application, when it ends April 30th, we start right up with the big game. And of course, you know, moose, goat, sheep are big game. But what we're referring to is the other big game, the deer and the elk and the pronghorn and so forth. And that period is May 1st through June 5th. Once again, that can be done online. I suspect we'll see a different May, and you know, we're all hoping for that, a little loosening, but we'll see. That's the governor's call. But you will be able to start doing that application for those species beginning May 1st, and that longer period, it goes to June 5th, so it's about 36-day period. And then, you know, reminder, change, really, from past years. So we have some over-the-counter, they're capped elk hunts, so they're over-the-counter, but they're capped. There's only so many tags we're going to sell. One of the most popular ones is the sawtooth tag, and beginning this year, there's a 5-day waiting period to make that purchase. So that particular controlled hunt, the sawtooth, that particular capped hunt, the sawtooth, occurs actually after the controlled hunt period. And so people need to be aware, if you apply for a controlled hunt, but what you really want is the sawtooth capped hunt, you're going to have to wait 5 days from when that first opens up, the sawtooth opens up. And here's the challenge or the problem: if you think, well, I can still apply for a controlled hunt, and then if I don't get it, I'll just get me a sawtooth tag because that's what I really want. Is those hunts for the sawtooth, those tags, once again they're capped, sell out within 10 to 15 minutes. And so you won't get an opportunity to get a sawtooth tag. So starting this year, you really got to decide, do I want to get a sawtooth tag? And yeah, maybe I won't get it, but I'm going to try. I'm either going to go to a vendor early, stand in line, or I'm going to try and get one online because we do it both ways for that. And that's what I want. And so I'm not going to put in for a controlled hunt, or you say, you know, that was always my second choice, going after one of those capped elk hunts. And what I really want is a controlled hunt, so I'm going to go ahead and put in for a controlled hunt. So that was a decision trying to, because the sawtooth had been so popular, but it was clear that about 60% of the people that purchase a sawtooth tag also put in for a controlled hunt. It was one of those things that hunters brought to us. Of course, you know, it's never unanimous, but the commission listened, and they felt they could at least provide some separation, and those that really want a sawtooth are willing to make the sacrifice and not put in for a controlled hunt, and those who really want a controlled hunt, then they can go after that.
Okay.
This is to try and help with the volume of people that have been showing up trying to get a sawtooth tag, is to help them decide what they really would prefer.
Let me ask you, is this the time of the year, early spring, when all the stocking continues as far as the fish are concerned? And how do you know which areas you're going to stock?
You know, that's a great question, and really I know time is of the essence, Zeb, but I'll just kind of circle it back to say, you know, Fish and Game has been working, and we identified over a month or 2 months ago essential tasks that needed to happen, and one of those is there's fish at hatcheries, and you got to keep feeding those fish, and at some point you got to put them in the water. And of course the governor is encouraging outdoor activities anyway, so it all lines up. And so we do in the spring start stocking and go through the summer as late as we can. And so we are putting fish out in local ponds and rivers and reservoirs. Typically, we've posted those schedules, but with the fact that we're really protective of our hatchery staff, we don't have hatcheries open to visitors this spring. Normally, we would, but we need to keep those staff healthy, because if one of them gets infected, the potential of all of them having been exposed increases tremendously, because they interact so much with each other. So they're pretty isolated, which means sometimes we don't have outside help coming in. So the stocking is happening, but it's not on the normal schedule, and sometimes it can be a week or two from when we actually get it out to when we thought we would. So we aren't putting those schedules out there, but you can look at past scheduling to see what bodies of water locally get stocked. Things like Freedom Pond over in Burley, Filer Pond over here. There's a whole lot more than that, but those are just examples, and past year stocking reports is my understanding is still on the website, so you can get a feel for where those fish go. But timing of it is a little uncertain as we deal with smaller staffing folks. So that's why they're not showing up on the schedule.
Let me ask you this. I would imagine, and this time of the year, with the weather and the wind and rain and then sunshine and then snow and then melting, a lot of those streams, they can be kind of dangerous to be standing there fishing. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, you just kind of nailed it. Sometimes the weather, even where you are at, may seem great, but up on the mountain, it's been thundering, the old saying, if you don't like the Idaho weather, give it 15 minutes and it'll change. So something else may be happening up the drainage that you're not aware of. Our water, the snow melting may be coming off faster, especially with these warmer weather starting to happen, that suddenly you could have the stream just blow up with runoff, and you just got to really pay attention. We've seen last year some blowouts, and not aware of any major ones yet, but be aware of what you're doing and where you're at, and realize that it may be sunny where you're at, but up on the mountain it may be building a nice little big river in a small stream channel, and it's headed your way.
Let me ask you, this is one, and I'm skipping over the panfish because you basically started talking about that earlier. Warmer weather, the fishing's going to pick up and get a lot better for the panfish and the bass, etc. But here's a note that I was not aware of, and I question why anybody would want to do it in the first place. Illegal fish transport. What in the world are you talking about here?
Well, we have folks that, they like to play armchair fish biologists too, or they just really have a passion for a certain species of fish. And sometimes they'll, catch them in one body of water and take them somewhere else to another body of water and release them. And for that reason, it is illegal to transport live fish. Some of these systems and drainages could really be impacted if someone got a fish that's not native there or isn't there currently going. An example is we have some great walleye reservoirs in this region, two of them, and if people, who are really passionate about walleye, I respect that, and most of them do it right. Most of them want to, but if they decided, hey, I really think they ought to be in the CJ Strike, and they take them from that reservoir over to CJ Strike, it really turns the fish population structure in that reservoir upside down, and things can change really quick. The same with dumping it into, the mainstream of the Snake. While some of those waters are connected in theory because of dams and other stuff, they're really not, and we manage different segments for different experiences, and moving fish around creates a problem. It's a huge financial cost to anglers for us to have into an area and then try to eradicate a fish that was, released maybe with good intentions, but not appropriate.
Absolutely.
And it has huge, in other parts of the world and country, it's had huge economic impacts to fisheries and as well as just people being able to enjoy and experience fishing in those places.
Well, let me ask you, is there a pretty stiff penalty for doing that if you're caught?
Oh, there is a fee. Stiff, probably really depends on your definition. Most wildlife fees and penalties, unless it's a trophy, taking of a trophy, elk, deer, moose type thing, is, if you really want to do something, those fees probably don't deter you enough unless you get to the high-end stuff. So is there a penalty? Yeah. Is it something that the average person doesn't want to pay? Sure, but someone who's determined probably it doesn't matter, unfortunately. But still, if people see these kind of things, they should report it to the CAP hotline, the Citizen Against Poaching hotline. I know the CAP has poaching in it, but this is any fish and game violation.
Right.
It's their resource that's being impacted when someone decides to take it upon themselves to change the dynamics of a fish structure in a water body.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit quickly about Anderson Ranch Reservoir, along with Magic and Salmon Falls Creek, and they're open, but watch out, right?
Yeah, they're open, and Anderson has some Forest Service campgrounds that are closed around it, and so we encourage you to check with Forest Service websites before going up there if you're looking to camp. But as far as the boat ramps, they're currently open at Anderson, and of course it's been a fantastic fisheries for kokanee, and we're hoping for another great year up there. Magic and Salmon Falls reservoirs are free of ice and open, and but we encourage people to check with the BLM before going up there and the status of boat ramps. Things can change, could change, but so far there's opportunities there. And Idaho Fishing Boating and Idaho Fishing Game Boating and Fishing Access sites are open, and we're working hard to keep those. It's one of the essential things we identified. Only closures that we're aware of is the Idaho Power sites, which according to their website will be closed through May 15th. I guess they could extend that if they want to. That's their call when it's Idaho Power sites.
Right.
And but there's still quite a bit of opportunities out there for folks.
Let me ask you this. Have you personally, as a regional supervisor of the Fish and Game, or as John Citizen, have you ever been sturgeon fishing?
Yes, I have, and it's not in these waters locally, which I plan on trying to rectify. We actually, and I think I mentioned this on your radio show last month, but we actually improved access to two of our sites down on the Niagara Wildlife Management Area where you can bank fish for sturgeon, and there's other great sturgeon locations. Where I sturgeon fish was up on the up above Lewiston on the Snake River, and I tell you what, I just think it's a blast.
What is there about it? I mean, I'm sure that the chances of getting one on the line maybe are somewhat limited, but I mean, what about the tackle? What about the bait? What about everything to do with sturgeon fishing? Give us a real quick synopsis of what the do's and don'ts are.
Well, I'm by far no expert, and I was fortunate to go with some, but it is different. It's a heavier rod, heavier reel, bigger reel. Heavier line, and you're often using, you're not using a night crawler. We used parts of fish or shrimp, and more of a bait, not a live bait, obviously, but oily based. And there's people that actually go out and use lures or smells that they spray on these baits, or they'll soak them in these baits, and they gear them towards sturgeon, and there's some of that available commercially, and you get them on, and it's a different hook than your average, fishing hook for a trout. And then you want to just get it down to the bottom, at least that's what we were doing, of the river, and in holes, you're looking for a place in the river where there's kind of a deeper hole, because that's where these sturgeon tend to congregate, and they tend to come along at the bottom, and so you're getting it down there and letting it roll, and they, hit that, and sometimes they'll run with the line a little bit, and I suppose there's, a lot of fish that probably, quote, fight more, but at the same time, they do give you a run for their money. You are working them from the bottom up, and so especially when you got a 6 foot or a 7 foot or longer sturgeon on, it's tiring and tasking.
Well,
of course, with sturgeon, you can't bring them out of the water. You can't bring them on the boat. You can't bring them up on the shore. But you get them up on top, and it's kind of, you roll them over and on their back, and it's kind of funny. They almost become, like a dog, just happy to be on their back as you unhook them. Of course, you have to release all sturgeon, but you unhook them and let them go, and it gives someone else another opportunity to experience it.
Yeah, I got to ask you though.
When you catch a old living fish like that.
Absolutely. I've got a picture in my mind's eye of me standing on crutches on the bank, and all of a sudden, there goes my line, and I've got about a 9 or 10 foot sturgeon. Now, when you're standing on one leg on crutches and you're trying to reel in a 9 or 10 foot sturgeon, I have a picture in my mind's eye of me being taken down the river hydroplaning and yelling for help.
Well, you could find yourself skiing, I suppose, but no, you'd want to get yourself anchored a little bit, but I think the things, we need to get you out on a boat doing it, and there are, in this region, there are boat opportunities as well, but either that or get you firmly seated on the ground, and I think you'd be able to work one up that way.
Craig, I've really enjoyed. I just wish we were doing this more in person, but I thank you for your time this morning, and excellent program with all the notes and everything as to what we were going to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions regarding the Idaho Fishing Game, be sure and call Craig or anybody over there at 324-4359. See, I've got the number memorized. Craig, God bless you, man. Thanks for being on the air.
Hey, thank you, and I hope all is well with you and the family.
Very much the same to you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Idaho Fish and Game Report for this month. Thank you, Craig White, Regional Supervisor, Idaho Fish and Game. We've been telling you about Edith's Cafe. What a great place to eat. Now, with the coronavirus and the scares and everything, they're still serving you. They've got curbside service. Absolutely, you call ahead. The number, 878-2248. They're located at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley, serving you. And you know what? For all the truckers in the area, coming in and coming out of Burley area, they've got a location set up over at 2500 Washington to where they're really feeding some hungry people with some outstanding food. Their menu is second to none, and their service is great. Remember, they're located right across from the Burley Golf Course, and that's Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81. Remember, Edith's Cafe, 878-2248. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast with our friends at Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, my delicious meats. The marinated pork ribs and the St. Louis-style pork ribs and all the tri-tips and the hams and the bacons and the sausages and, of course, the bratwurst. Oh, I'm hungry. I am starving. They can help you. They will. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, or give them a call at 324-7657. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Get your yard work done today because we're going to be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies for today. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 65. Tonight we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 45. For tomorrow, patchy, blowing dust afternoon, wind advisory, gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 60 by Thursday night. Mostly clear skies. Things should be dying down just a little bit, low of 36. By Friday, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy, high of 62. By Saturday, mostly sunny and low 70s. That's a look at your weather for Zebedee.
Oh, she said that with a smile. Thank you, Gina. And, of course, the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrow's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And it is so true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrow's Meats. I want to thank you for being with us every day and listening to the program and your contributions of all your thoughts and everything. And tomorrow, I'm taking the day off because we have to pick a day or two now and then to go to doctor's appointments and everything else, you know, that you have to do. Sometimes Friday is not a day where they're feasible or open. And the lovely Sharon Wilmot is going to be filling in. And by the way, Sharon is going to be going in for surgery before too many more days, and we want to wish her the very best of God's blessings and quick healing. And she's going to be doing the program for us tomorrow on Thursday. So call her up and wish her well. All right, now we're going to tell you the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us right here at this program: in God we trust. I certainly hope you and your family stay well. We'll be back on Monday. God bless you, Zeb at the Ranch. You have a great day.